Okay, all right. To anyone listening out there, how are you doing? I believe you're fine and no, you're good. Okay, this is my way of saying welcome to the next generation orientation. Of course, one of a kind podcast. Where we talk about a lot of things, sharing an experience in a purposeful way, kind of giving a guide to the next generation for us to be living intentionally and how to actually live intentionally and fulfill their purpose. Okay, and this show is not just me on the show. I always say this. I bring in a lot of intellectual personalities. Yeah, any young guy that is intentional about living and making changes to this generation, to the next generation, I call them intellectual personalities. Okay, so and today, and I have one of my very good brother. I call him OLISAH. OLISAH brother, have fun. What's the happen, brother?
Your boy,
Don't be lie. So say hello to the next generation. What something about this show that you want to talk about the next generation. Something about it.
Hello, viewers, listeners. Like he likely said, my name is OLISAH.
Okay.
A very good friend. One that puts very good effort into what he does. And as far as this next generation orientation is concerned, it's a welcome call, as well as a development that would go far and wide in influencing anybody that intentionally listens to it.
Yes,
I'm telling you, because there are topics lined up that would give you perspectives beyond what you think you know.
Exactly.
And when you come, you will realize that this thing ought to be, this thing ought not to be, and you find out that as generation comes and goes, there will be improvements in not just our way of life, but improvements in your mindset,
the mentality,
improvements in how you go about a lot of things.
Okay. Yes, exactly.
So it's a welcome development.
Yeah, it's a welcome. It's a big thing. Yeah, and actually the topic we want to talk about today is reset your mind. So for me, I'm talking about recession of your mind. I want to talk about something that we know that the mind in general terms, the way the person thinks, reason, perceives, wills, has ideas and feels. That's what the mind does. You understand? And we're meant to know that your brain contains around 100 billion nerve cells or neurons. You understand, that make up your central nervous system. So this neuron transmits and receives electrochemical signals. So which are basically your thoughts, your emotion, actions, and the automatic function of your body. So this power, the power of thoughts, the mind power is one of the strongest and most influential power. You know that
very well.
Yeah, very well. So to resetting I think that resetting them, there's a lot of things that we need to reset our mind on, basically. Because there's some things, the way we view things, perspective on that we view things. So you sometimes you see people's reasoning. You ask which kind of mentality is the person they reason. But then you wouldn't even blame the person, because already anyone passed a lot through that process for us to be where you think you are today. You know that you fought through traumatic experience and all that thing. It's a war in your mind. Yeah, it's engraved. Yes, it's talking about the mind.
So it's a recurrent topic in the media, in the society, wherever you turn. Normally in the street, be like, get mind. This guy get mind, in so many aspects. But the thing is, when I went through that article, it prompted something in me, and I was like, what really is the mind? What is the mind?
The mind, yeah.
And someone said in that article, that is the collection of your thoughts
and ideas.
And it made me start to wonder, what if you actually don't have thoughts or ideas?
That means you don't have
does the mind still
function?
And so I went on to look at a few people talks, listen to some lectures and all this, and I realized that the mind is not a collection of thoughts, to be precise. When you look all around you, the mind. Our existence
is the mind.
And you get to see that the mind is more of a software that runs our hardware.
Mm-hmm.
You have your laptop, or whether it's Windows or iOS, whatever it is. You see, it is what runs us. And so therefore, if I should liken it to a television, you see, there's one here. It is the black screen. No picture.
Just
no
a blank
nothing.
screen.
It's the black screen. If you want to say black, if you want to say blank, whichever one.
Yeah.
But then you turn on the television,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of things
Start popping out.
up, colors, images,
and understand.
text, and all of that. So you get to see that the mind is more of a background. It is not what you think.
Mm-hmm.
It is what it is. How do I put it for you? It is that on which a lot of things happen.
Happening. Yes.
You get?
Yes.
So the mind is not a collection of thoughts. It's a background on which you put thoughts. And the funny thing about the mind is whatever you put, it amplifies. So that when you start thinking about one thing day on, consciously or unconsciously, you find out that along the line, it starts disturbing you in such a way that even when you don't want to think about it,
You see yourself thinking about it.
that is one powerful nature of the mind. You know, over the last few years, I've had one or two thought changes or lifestyle changes, if you may say. And much of it has been influenced by, let me be blunt, or I won't be blunt.
But it's better if you blunt.
I'll tell you how it is. It was influenced or still being influenced much by they call them Oriental religion or philosophy, if you want to say.
Oriental religion of philosophy.
Buddhism, Hinduism, Zen, Taoism, and all of that. You know, like in the background before we came to here, I told you from when I knew what I knew up to 2020, I had a certain kind of mindset about religion, about what I was, what I am not, and all of that. Then it came to that point when government locked us down on COVID-19. I started kind of looking for answers.
For some kind of measures.
What is it? How, you know, what is happening? How come the things we were taught couldn't rescue us and all of that? So I started going to know
deep,
what
going to
was
research.
happening. And I met a lot of people, very interesting people. Even if they did not meet me, but through their works, I met them. And they changed my mindset. So I got to realize that things weren't how we were thought they were. And at that instant, it wasn't my mind that changed. It was what I was putting in my mind
that you changed.
You get it? So the mind isn't that collection. The mind is there.
It's what you put inside.
Yeah. And it's not something you can locate. This is where it is. This is where it's not. You know, it's everywhere. This building you see is a product of the mind. Whoever constructed it wanted to.
Already put
it there and come up with something. So the mind is much, much more than your thought. It's much more than
your ideas
or whatever you could bring up. It is a tool. There is an extent to which you will talk about it and you begin to enter into the realm of, should I say, the soul. Because it's far deeper. It's not something you can cover in one episode. You get. So this topic that talks about changing your mindset or resetting your mind. That is actually, let me put it that way, you can't reset your mind. You cannot reset the mind because the mind is your background, you know. What you can only reset is the sets you put into it. It's just like
there's the contents of the mind.
Yeah, it's just like the foundations that gave rise to the design of
this building.
You know, it is not something you would say, I want to go back. If once you are able to do it, it would definitely alter the shape of this building you are looking at. So it's static. Wherever you go, it goes. Even when you are not conscious of it, it's there. So it's more like this thing you call a phantom. You know, it's not there, but you might think it's there. But when it comes to that aspect of the mind, it's there. And so there is virtually nothing you can do to change it. You can only change the inputs you make into it. And mind you, it's one of the most powerful tool you have as a human.
That's the mind.
The mind. I don't think there is any, say, weapon, say, policy, say, whatever you want to come up with that is more powerful than
the mind.
It connects you to who you are. It connects you to the Almighty. Mention it. It is where your ideas pop up from. It is where a lot of things happen. It's like a garden. You put in a lot of things in it, and when you don't even know it's happening, it's giving you results, it's giving you fruits and all of that. So in resetting the mind, it's more of a very difficult task you can't embark on. But when you talk of resetting your mindset, you now say, okay, yes, I can do that.
Okay,
you know, in terms of positive thinking, in terms of not thinking negativity. There is this Japanese proverb, if I'm not mistaken, that says, don't say bad about yourself. Because the warrior within doesn't know when you are joking or when you are serious. Because that's the nature of the mind. It knows nothing. It doesn't know good. It doesn't know evil. What it knows is that which
you put place on it. That's what you've already.
And automatically, without your permission, it amplifies it for you. And that's why in the teachings of this, I think it's Indian. It's this Indian guru.
Sadhguru.
Swami, no, not Sadhguru. Swami, he calls him Swami Vivekananda. He says the mind is a lousy master, but a great servant. What he's trying to tell you is, in whatever you do, don't let the mind rule you. Even as powerful as it is, it was not put there to rule you. And when the mind rules you, believe me, it will drive you insane. Baba, you know, get as you want be. You just cannot.
He go drive you guy.
Constantly, it's popping up things, even when you don't want to hear it, or even when you don't want to think about it, because unconsciously you've been putting those things in there. Without knowing. And it's just like, I don't know how I put it. It's let me say, a wicked kind of aspect of life, because it doesn't forgive you. Whatever you've put in, it has registered it. And even when you don't want it, it spits it out for you. And people say, my mind, I can't keep my mind quiet. I keep thinking all the time. It's not because it wants to, it's just that is the nature of it. It always wants to bring up something. It always wants to tell you something. It always wants to distract you. It always wants. It's up to you to make sure you don't allow it to be your master. It will drive you insane. But in other way around, if as much as you can make your mind a servant, oh my God, my brother, you will experience bliss. You will experience a lot of things beyond even what you imagined you can experience. Because at that, if you can, it gives you this control
over some certain
when
things.
You hear peace of mind, it's not about what you've acquired. It's about you being able to tame the mind, to make sure that when you want to be silent within you, you're silent.
The mind helps you too.
When you want to say something, you say something. When you want to think, you think. When you don't want to think, you don't want to think. And that's why you see most of these are guys from the Eastern philosophy or religion, whatever you choose to call it. They mostly go into meditation. They don't just do it for fun or, you know. And another thing to know about this meditation is you are not going into meditation to do anything. That is one aspect of it. You're just going there
to use up your mind.
Sit. You're not going to use up your mind. Saguru will say a little distance from you and your thoughts would make you blissful. So it's like going to sit quiet and just watch everything happen. You don't do anything. And you get to a point where your mind gets exhausted because it's energy. Keeps doing things. It gets to a point where if you're not paying attention to it, it quiets down, it dies down. And when you keep on doing that, you realize that what goes on within you, what your mind pops up, cannot and will not affect you in any way.
Yeah.
So it is a good thing. First of all, you get to know what the mind is. how it works, what it can do for you, and all of that. And when you're able to get a hold on that, you will see that you will not just control the mind, but you will do things with it much more than
just like the mind being your servant.
Yeah.
So you're going to put it to tell the mind what to actually do for you. So it's like the mind serving you. So that the content that you put in the mind, that is from the content, that is how the mind serves. Yeah.
So it's very, very important you bring that perspective and say, okay, this is what I want. And it's not just about the mind, it's equally about the universe. You know, when you put in something into it, it automatically returns it back to you. Like Christ will say, love your neighbor as you love yourself. It's not just about showing your neighbor that you're a good person, but you find out that when you're able to dish out love to your neighbors, you get that when you need it, it comes back without you even asking, because you've already delivered it into the universe, you've delivered it into another being. And again, when the time comes for it to be delivered to you, it automatically comes. When you put in evil, you find out that automatically when the time comes,
the evil you receive. Yeah.
It's not just because the universe is wicked or the mind is, no. It doesn't know good, it doesn't know evil, it doesn't know wickedness, it doesn't know good. Whatever you throw at it,
it's just a reflection of what you
it comes back, definitely. So, as for those who are onto this podcast, listening to what the topic has to say, we will equally go on certain things you need to do, certain things you need not to do, and all of that, in order to see that you don't, because when you look at the society right now, it's crazy, man.
Yeah, a lot of things.
Very,
crazy.
very crazy. They
Yeah.
hustle for ends meet, they hustle for family, they hustle to get relevance and all of that. You find out that at the end of the day, man, you are just so exhausted. Even without doing nothing.
Yeah,
you come back
your
home,
thoughts is
you are
alone.
exhausted. And so you see that it happens. I'm not saying the mind is here, but it happens in the mind.
Yeah, it happens. Of course,
It happens.
That's the content. The content you've choose to take in.
And so you need to learn. You need to learn, and equally need to restrict what you put in. If you're going to put in anything, it should be something that when it comes back, it's going to come back very, very pleasant to you.
Yes.
Instead of exhausting you, it will even give you much more energy to pursue whatever it is you're pursuing. You get? So it's not something that you take lightly. It's not something you take lightly. And if you want to excel in whatever aspect, whatever field, whatever endeavor it is you're into, you need the mind. This thing we call ginger. This thing we call ginger. It's not just something that exists anywhere. It's something that exists in the mind. It's the will. I don't know if you get.
Yeah.
It has to come from within you. And where is it coming from? It's coming from your own mind. Because you realize that in the end, whatever it is you do, you want to do, you have to do, that you want result, it is a product of your own mind. You just can't get things done without it coming from within. If you know this man, Carl Jung, he is a very well-known psychiatrist. He was a student of, I think, Sigmund Freud, for those who are into psychology. Carl Jung said, he who looks outside dreams, but he that looks from within himself awakens. And when you are able to work well with your mind, you're going to open yourself up to truths that would outstand you. You will be like, really? Is this thing possible?
Exactly.
Because I got to realize something. Before that 2020, I had this mindset that everything that I was told, everything I knew was perfect. So there was nothing you could come and tell me about what I knew then that I would tell you. I would simply say you are lying. But until after that incident and a lot of things I came across, I realized that a lot of tricks has been played. Look out in the society, it's there. You look out within your family, it's there. You look out within your peers, it's there. Not just because those people played it on you intentional, but it's being a generational thing. It was played on them, they played it on this till it got to you. But at some point, you've got to realize too that I have some power. Without that realization, you always, people will say, don't follow the crowd. Follow a path, follow your own path and live the tree. Until you're able to differentiate between what is real and what is not real, you won't be able to actually make a difference. And so you need to quiet down. You need to draw back a little.
Have a thought.
You need to draw back a little. I was listening to Alan Watts, and he was saying something about the hermits. Hermits are like monks in the eastern part of, call them the East, China, Japan, wherever
from
Asia. Let me put it generally in Asia. He said what they realized is when they went into the forest, far into the forest, and they quiet down, they realized that they were one with everything. Do you know the amount of power you could exercise when you realize that everything around you, that you are one with it? Can you imagine the power
I could generate from that thought?
Just that comfort alone, that you are one with everything. It gives you this feeling of I can do anything. It gives you this feeling of it doesn't come from you thinking. No. It comes from you calming down. It comes from you going back into yourself, retreating into yourself, and getting to know things. And funny enough, when you hear retreat, it's always where you go to teach you, do you sing, praise. But when you look at retreat in its essence, it should be about going back and calming down. The more like say, go to the drawing board and get a few things right. When you calm down, you would see your mistakes. When you calm down, you see the places where
you made an error.
You are having it wrong, where you've made an error, where you need to improve and
do something better. Yes.
And it is something you can only do when you are in control of your own mind.
That's when you're on a sober reflection.
And so that reflection, that resetting isn't something that you do, or should I say, to the mind. It's something you do about what you put
to the mind.
And so it's going to really, really help you to differentiate between these things. Because prior to 2020, I was this devoted altar boy. Massava.
You look
for any of our viewers around Abuja, go to St. Jude's Catholic Church called Atuorah. And the family is as popular as you can. So far, you've been a member of that church from, let's say, 2005 up to 2010. The name must ring a bell. There is no way
you cannot know about this family.
There is no way. It's not possible. Because my father was assistant coordinator, Catholic Charismatic Unua. My mother rose to, I think, CWO president. I served mass at the altar. So the family was just there. The family was just there. So I got this mind that these things we are doing is absolute, and there is nothing you can tell me. But as I'm talking to you now, that
mentality
is gone for good. Not because it's wrong, but because they've made me unknowingly believe that this is it. Apart from this,
and along the line, it seems that you've lost identity to who you are because of what you've already believed in.
Exactly.
Yes, and that needs a resetting of the mindset. That's the content on your mind about this particular stuff that they made you
believe. And the good thing about resetting this mind is it's going to relieve you of a lot of things.
A lot.
Somebody said, in order to be perfect, for someone to tell you you're perfect, it means there is nothing more to remove from you. For you to say this thing is, you look around this setting and say, yeah, it's perfect. It means you've done away with everything that ought to be done away with, and now you've arrived at that point where you say, yeah, this is okay.
it. Yeah.
And that is what the setting can do for you. So they say the normal everyday student learns every day by adding to what they know.
No, already.
But the student of Zen learns every day by removing. And so when you keep removing all these things, you get to a point where you'll be like, wow,
This is it.
this is it. Because Saguru, one of the things that inspired me, Saguru said, you are not this body. This body is accumulation of everything you've eaten from when you were born. You know, your thoughts and thought processes and personality are accumulation of experiences you've had along
when you're born. Yeah.
You know, and so it created that personality and this body. When you do away with all of it, what are you? Now that question had a way of triggering me
to want to know more,
to want to know what is this,
taking you back to your identity
thing that I am doing. And it developed within me that eagerness to keep on searching, and I got to realize that we are not what we were told we were.
Exactly.
David Icke said we are not human. He said we are infinite awareness, having human experience. The Bible says, let us create them in our image and likeness. Alan Watts will say, we are like people who have forgotten the meal and are eating the menu. It's like living where the signboard points to, and you climb the signboard and I have arrived. But actually, you haven't gotten to where.
Yeah, that's just a direction to where you're going to.
So we are now living the concept instead of what the concept have been pointing us to. And these things, if nothing has triggered that feeling within you to want to know more, you will find yourself putting things into your mind that are irrelevant.
Exactly.
You know, you see a young boy today or girl, you know, a young millennial as you would call it, and all they want to is chase the bag, you know, make the money, get the fame, and all of that. And at the end of the day, you see that a lot of this energy is wasted. It's not being channeled properly.
God.
And at the end of the day, you see them, they're either frustrated with life, they're either frustrated with their fellow human being, or unhappy. It's not because it is their fault, but because they've been led to believe that this is
how it's supposed to be. That's the society have already given them an expectation. So for me, I call it societal expectations.
Yeah. And so when you are able to go beyond that, you see that all these things they are primary. They are secondary. They are not the basics at all. You know, and there is this movie Jackie Chan acted back in the day. I can't remember, but I think the name is Who Am I? He had an accident. I think he has some form of memory loss, and then was trying to remember who he was. So that movie was really a message onto whoever it is that came across it. Because on daily basis, I think every individual should be able to, or if you're not even able to act on daily basis, but be on the process of trying to know who are you. And the only means or tools through which you can do that is through quietening your mind. Without a calm mind, without, let's say, a calm head, or a calm mind, you can't really do much. Exactly. Even if you do, they will be superficial. You know, there are things that are not relevant to what you are. I don't know if you get. Just like, let's say you want to put up a building. You need to get a land first.
Get the foundation.
Get the foundation, get your drawings, everything. But the main thing is you need to get a land first. You can't build in the air. Yeah. But the thing with most of us is we forget about the land
and start acquiring
materials without having a place to put it. And at the end of the day, you see that there is nowhere
to build the house.
I mean, what do we
you don't get everything now. Maybe you won't put them now.
So the mind is the basics. The mind is your number one. Exactly. If you can get it right with what is going on in there, you will go places.
You will
go places.
This is a very, very, very awesome the mindset, the content of which you put up the mind, that is the what the mind is going to be reflecting on and how it's going to function.
Exactly.
So if you want having the perspective about something, you need to understand critically of what something is all about, so you're not going to have a wrong perspective about something. So I believe you guys learned something a lot from this wonderful podcast, and trust me, you can still get more of this. Okay, so this is OLISAH, and I'm following him up on social media. I'm going to put down his handle on the description below, so just kindly read the description so you can get to know him better if you want to follow him up and all those stuffs. And nobody just don't stop learning. Okay, so the Bible says once you seek for knowledge, God blesses you with wisdom, so you can have a clear understanding of what the knowledge you seek for is about. All right, thank you very much for anyone listening out there, and please, if you're watching online on YouTube, please don't forget to subscribe to my page and click the notification button. Okay, so if you're listening through more platform podcast platform, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and all that, please just do me this favor to subscribe and keep listening. Okay, keep supporting me in the only way you can support me is to just keep listening and sharing my content out there. Thank you very much as you do that, and God bless you.
And
thank you.
Smash the like button. Very important.
All right, bye.
Thank you.